In this tutorial, I want to show you how to create basic summary statistics for one quantitative variable. And again, I'm going to be using this Hollywood Movies 2011 dataset, which I've already read into R, so you can read in your own dataset and follow along. The first thing we can do whenever we get a new dataset in is create summary statistics for each column in this dataset individually using the summary function. And the summary function is only going to require the dataset as an argument. So when I run this, what you'll see is that for each column in the dataset, it'll give you some basic information. For a categorical variable, it will tell you how many observations fall into each category. For example, lead studio. For a quantitative variable, such as the Rotten Tomatoes score, it'll give you the minimum, first quartile, median, mean, the third quartile, the maximum, and the number of missing values that are there. So that's a good way to start out. If you want to get that type of information only for one quantitative variable, well, then the summary function also works on something called vectors, or the individual columns of a dataset. In order to pull off an individual column from a dataset, you give the dataset name, use a $sign, and then type in the name of the column. And so here, if we do that, we'll see that we receive the same summary that we did using summary on the entire dataset above. Now, sometimes we want to calculate specific summary statistics, such as you're only interested in calculating the mean Rotten Tomatoes score. In order to do this, we'll pass in the column, just like we did in with the last function, and we'll use the mean function. Now, one thing to beware of are missing values. So here, I'm going to ignore missing values, and I receive an NA. NA is how R codes a missing value, and what this is telling you is that the mean function doesn't know how to handle a missing value, so you need to tell it what to do. One sensible thing to do with the missing value is to remove it, and so you use this na.rm equals true argument in the mean function to specify that you'll want to ignore missing values and calculate the average of the values that are non-missing. So if we run this line, we'll see that we get the mean of 53.19 or so, which matches our summary from before. Another function we might want to calculate is the median. So we just change mean for median here and use the same na.rm equals true argument, and we pass in a column again. To calculate the standard deviation, we use the SD function, and we again pass in a single column of data here, so using that $sign, and we specify na.rm equals true. We can run that in order to get the standard deviation. Another type of summary we may be interested in are quantiles. So the quantile function does that for us, and we'll pass in a single column here, such as I'm passing in the Rotten Tomatoes column from the Hollywood Movies 2011 dataset. And then you specify what quantiles you want, or what percentiles you want, just in decimal form, using the probs equal argument. And you can pass in 1, where you can just type in 0.25 if you want the first quartile, or the 0.25 quantile. Or if you want to give numerous quantiles at this time, you wrap those in C. This is going to tell R that this is something called a vector, just giving it numerous values. And so here we're asking for the 0.25 and the 0.75 quantile, or the 25th and 75th percentile. Again, we're going to specify na.rm equals true so that we ignore missing values. And when we run this, you'll see the formatting here. You'll get headers on the columns, and the percentiles or quantiles fall below. And those are the basic summary statistics for one quantitative variable. If you want to make it easier on yourself to calculate the IQR, you can use the function IQR and then again pass in a column of your data. So for example, we can calculate the IQR of the Rotten Tomatoes scores just using that IQR function, and that's quite convenient. Those are the basic summary statistics we'll go over in this tutorial. So now you can load a dataset in and start to explore the quantitative columns.